All right. Our next book is called Grandma Meets the Queen. And this is also part of the same series as Grandma Joined the All Blacks. So it's the same grandma, same illustrator, same author, and it's another adventure Grandma gets up to. So let's find out what happens when she goes to meet the Queen. All right, get it close for you. There we go. At 6 o'clock on a London Monday morning, Grandma bounced out of bed. "No marmalade making for me today," she chortled as she dusted her wrinkles and put in her teeth. "I'm off to see the sights." "Meow," said Scratch. Grandma, dressed in a shirt and shorts, popped on her sunnies and was gone. At Piccadilly Circus, there was a big traffic jam. Toot, toot, beep, beep went the horns. Drivers shouted and shook their fists. Grandma took a thermos out of her handbag. "Time for a cuppa," she declared. The noise stopped. The traffic jam turned into a tea party. At midday, Big Ben chimed 12. Grandma clapped her hands. "Toodaloo," she waved. "I'll be off now." "Want a ride?" asked the fireman. "You bet," said Grandma. She sprang into the fire engine. They switched on the siren and whizzed away. On a London Tuesday morning, Grandma was dressed by 7. "Aha!" she hawed. "Today's the day for me to watch the changing of the guard." She put on her best hat, the one with the roses on top, slid down the banisters, and hired a taxi. "Buckingham Palace, please," said Grandma. At the palace, Grandma sat on her deck chair and waited, and waited, and waited. She said, "I think I'll check this out." The guard room resounded with bashing and crashing. "Take that," heard Grandma, and wham, and got you. And there were the guards, beating their big furry hats and dancing the itchy scratches. Something's in their hats. Can you see what it is? I think it might be some bugs. "What are you doing?" asked Grandma. "We've got fleas in our bearskins," they shrieked. Grandma took a tin of flea powder out of her handbag. "You need some of this," she said. It worked at once. Does your grandma keep flea powder in her handbag? What a funny grandma this is. The guards put on their bearskin hats and marched outside. Grandma put on one as well. Left, right," she hollered as she goose-stepped behind them. Goose-stepping is when they walk with their legs straight out. On a London Wednesday morning, Grandma woke up at 8. There was a knock at the door. Grandma put her teeth in. "Come in," she called. It was the town crier. "Pardon me, ma'am," he said. "I have a message from the Queen." Sounds exciting. He unrolled a scroll and began to read. "Her Majesty commends Grandma for her heroism in the single-handed destruction of a pack of fleas and requests her presence at the palace forthwith. P.S. Please bring pajamas and a skateboard." Said Grandma. "I haven't dusted my wrinkles yet. Give me 10. The town crier bowed. When Grandma went downstairs, the gold coach was waiting. She climbed into the driver's seat. "Giddy up," she cried, and yee-haw as they galloped down Pall Mall. She was just in time for Elevenses, cucumber sandwiches. She had them with the Queen. At 9 o'clock on a London Thursday morning, Grandma woke up in a 4-poster bed. "Your teeth, ma'am," said the maid, who had them on a silver tray. Grandma popped them in at once. "Your big feather duster, ma'am," sneezed the butler. Grandma dusted her wrinkles. Looks like she got to stay overnight at the Queen's palace. How exciting. There was a knock at the door. It was the Queen. "Good morning, Gran," she said. "We've brought you breakfast in bed, kippers and toast." Meow, said Scratch. Said Grandma, my favorite. She patted the quilt. Do sit down. I don't think I've ever had kippers and toast. What are you up to today, Gran? Asked the Queen. Today, said Grandma, I'm going to climb the Tower of London. Splendid idea, said the Queen. I'll come too. They put on their boiler suits, took out their skateboards, and swooped off. Go, Grannies, roared the Duke. When they reached the tower's top, Grandma took a hang glider out of her handbag. Let's fly, she yelled. See where they're flying? Right over top of London. How fun would that be? The Prime Minister saw them soaring through the sky and declared a state of emergency. The Air Force flew to the rescue. Grandma blew them a kiss. Silly boys, she giggled. She made a perfect landing on a passing boat. London Bridge is falling down, sang Grandma and the Queen as they sailed down the river to Westminster, where they hopped on a double-decker bus and went home for tea. On a fine Friday morning in London, Grandma was up by 10. She dusted her wrinkles and put in her teeth. Woohoo, she whooped. I'm going to a royal garden party. She put on her party clothes, leapt on a tea trolley, and sped off. Oops, she tittered as she swerved past the butler, and yikes, squealed the cook as he dropped a pile of plates. The palace garden was full of weeds. The gardeners were asleep in the potting shed. We can't have a party in that mess, said Grandma. We're tired, said the gardeners. What do you think she's going to make them do? Grandma took a jar of marmalade out of her handbag and gave them each a tablespoonful. They perked up at once. Let's get weeding, said Grandma. And they did. And so did all the guests. Have you ever gone to a party and the people make you clean up the garden? That sounds kind of crazy. Grandma made them lunch. The Queen made a speech. I declare Grandma's gardening party a rip-roaring do, she said. At 11 o'clock on a London Saturday morning, Grandma dusted her wrinkles. Bring, bring, went her mobile. Grandma put her teeth in. It was the lady in waiting. Her Majesty won't get up today, she said. What shall I do? There in 5, said Grandma. She pulled on her tracksuit and jumped on her scooter. And there among her pillows lay the Queen. Her face was looking very, very green. Too many cucumber sandwiches, said Grandma. She mixed up a glass of Epsom salts. Drink this. Yuck, said the Queen, but she did. A day in bed is what you need, said Grandma. Thank you, Her Majesty decreed. Then you shall be Queen. I'll need some royal clothes, said Grandma. The Queen removed her crown. Try this, she said. The fit was perfect. I'll be off then. Grandma climbed out the window and abseiled down the palace wall. Wait for me, gasped the lady in waiting. The Duke took them on his motorbike. There's the Queen giving Grandma her crown, and she's knighting her with a sword. That's what they do. They knight them. It's like saying you are now the Queen. Grandma opened 5 exhibitions, visited 10 hospitals, signed 150 state documents, ate more lunches than she could remember, and gave the Queen's speech at Parliament. That's enough for now, she said. Time for knees up. Grandma fell asleep on the throne that night. She was still wearing the crown. Busy day she had. On a London Sunday morning, Grandma woke up at 12. She gurgled as she scrubbed in her bubble bath. Then there was a knock on the door. She put in her teeth quickly. "Come in," she said. It was the paparazzi. "What was it like to be queen for a day, Gran?" "Grrr," growled Scratch. The paparazzi ran away. On Monday morning at Buckingham Palace, Grandma woke up at 6 o'clock. She put in her teeth, dusted her wrinkles, dressed in her granny clothes, and went downstairs for breakfast. "I think I'll make some marmalade today," she said. "Meow," said Scratch. "Can I help?" asked the Queen. "Me too," said the ladies in waiting, and the Duke and the butler, and everybody who was anybody, and lots who weren't. "Why not?" said Grandma. And everyone did. I think this Grandma likes marmalade. Does your Grandma like marmalade? I don't really like marmalade. Good. That's the end of that book. All right. Have a good evening. Bye.